Thanks for joining us. Today's presentation is titled Lawson Reporting with Spreadsheet Server. We've got some great info to share with you. My name is Brittany Degler. I'm with RPI Consultants, and I'm just the organizer and host for today. We've got Bjorn Beer and Anna Sagan, who will actually be doing the presentation. Before I actually hand it off to them, I just want to go over a couple of things. All guests are placed on mute, but if you've got any questions, please enter them in the questions module, and we'll make sure to ask them as we go. Also, we'll be recording the session, and we'll send it out within a week in a follow-up email. And that's all I've got for you. So thanks for joining, and I'll hand it off to Bjorn.
Great, Brittany. Thank you so much for the intro, and to the folks at RPI, thank you so much for hosting this session. We are excited to be sharing with you the ways that you can get data into Excel from various data sources, especially Lawson. And we'll dive into the product just momentarily. I'm joined by Anna Sagan, who is actually, in addition to being a product presenter, does a lot of on-site client trainings with actual Lawson end-user clients. So she can speak to on-the-ground use at client sites across the country. So Anna, if you just advance the slide here. Folks, I have a very short PowerPoint prepared. We'll dive right into the product, but I just want you to know a little bit about Global Software before we dive in here. We've been an RPI partner for quite some time now, almost a decade, I believe, and we're based out of the Research Triangle Park area of North Carolina. We've been in business since the 70s, and about 20 years ago, some of our clients came to us and said, we want live data in Excel. So we developed Spreadsheet Server, which gives you live data from any data source in Excel. And the Infor and Lawson space is one of our best markets. We have a lot of clients in multiple industry verticals, and we'll get into that as well. We have an extensive help desk network that's based in Raleigh, Seattle, and London, so we cover you around the globe no matter what time of the day it is. We are a Microsoft partner as well. So we're always one step ahead of whatever release of Microsoft Excel you are on. Right now we have just north of 2,500 customers worldwide in 50 countries. So that's Global Software, and what we do is a suite of products that improves your Excel experience. Some in the Lawson space have described us as MS add-ins on steroids. So we give you that live data, but also customizable user interface, drill down, all within Excel. So it's, I think MS add-ins on steroids would be an understatement. We're going to be focusing primarily on Spreadsheet Server. It's the add-in that installs where Excel resides, giving you that live data in Excel. We're also going to talk about Distribution Manager, which automates the distribution of your reports throughout the organization in Excel or PDF format. That can also be scheduled to go out, so you don't even have to click a mouse button. So that's going to be our main focus. We do have enterprise budgeting solution, which is an Excel-based budgeting platform that some of our customers find especially beneficial as well. But we can get into that on a separate follow-up call with each of you if you're interested. This is just a small snapshot of some of our customers. Like I said, we have many clients in the Lawson Infor space, and we're happy to put you in touch with references if this is something that you want to explore further. On the next slide, I have just some high-level metrics of the time savings that are inherent with Spreadsheet Server. For example, Rush-Copley Medical Center, a process that was taking, I think, 2 to 3 days to create and 4 to 5 hours to distribute, now takes them less than 8 hours. They've reduced manual inputs by 85%. And that's really a common thread throughout all of our customers. A client I spoke to in the Lawson space a couple weeks ago, apparently they brought their month-end close from 5 days down to 2.5 days. So that adds up to about 30 days per year. Substantial savings in the accounting and finance department that frees you up for other activities. On the next slide, I have an example of ProMedica Health, and I bring them up because they are tying all sorts of GL and non-GL information into the same spreadsheet. So in Anna's presentation, halfway through, we're going to talk about the ability to bring non-GL areas into Excel from various data sources, all in the same spreadsheet. So With that having been said, I think we're ready to dive into the product demonstration. Quick housekeeping note as well, you can chat or send us questions here to the GoToWebinar protocol on the right-hand side of your screen. So we'll be stopping periodically to answer some of the questions you all might have. Anna, take it away.
All right, thanks, Bjorn. Just want to verify, Bjorn, can you see my screen?
Looks good.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone, for joining us today. We're excited to show you Spreadsheet Server. Spreadsheet Server is being used by customers to help save time in their reporting that they do on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. Spreadsheet Server, you can see up here, is an add-in to Excel, connects directly to the tables within Lawson. Also can connect to any relational database. So if you've got other systems, as long as they sit on a SQL, Oracle type database, Spreadsheet Server can report from there as well. So with Spreadsheet Server, a huge benefit is that it's the ease of use. So if you know your chart of accounts and you know how to copy and paste in Excel, you can build reports. So it gives you a very user-friendly way to be able to create reports without having to be super technical. I'm just using Excel as my report writer. So I can do things like come in here and I can update my months, years, companies, accounting units, any of my segments, and my balances will update. So not only is it easy to build reports, but now all I have to do is open up this worksheet here and my balances are going to refresh with the latest and greatest that's in Lawson. And then I can slice and dice that data looking at months, years, companies, accounting units, like I said. So I can really see the data across the board in a summary level and then have the ability to validate any balance in a drill down. So if I'm curious about a balance here, I don't have to go back into Lawson and rerun a report or do a redump of data or anything else. All I simply have to do is right-click, drill down, and you can see it brings me back the details behind that $6 million balance there. So I can sort through those details, ascending or descending here. I can group by company and then accounting unit because most folks, when you're drilling down, you're looking for something. So now I have an easy way to sort through those details, sorting, grouping, even coming in and putting in criteria, for example, to be able to see certain pieces of my results. I can go directly from here down to journal level details. So this is all out of the box. So with Spreadsheet Server installs in about an hour and a half or so. And then out of the box, we give you pre-configured formulas, which you're going to see. And then we give you drill down to your journal level details. So that means I can drill down and I can see journals that were just posted to Lawson. We know going beyond here is important, though. So we give you the ability to create paths to other places. Those other places could be other modules within Lawson, or they could be systems outside of Lawson. You may have legacy data sitting somewhere else. Now you have a streamlined way to give your users who have to do that analysis a way to get to that data. And it's in a focused drill down. So I'm not going and running a big dump of AP data here. I'm actually going and running a focused AP drill down based on my journal line there. So it gives me a lot of different options. So I can create paths within Lawson or outside of Lawson. I can even come and drill to an image if I wanted to. So if you scan documents, I can create a path and see that document and see my details all from within Excel. I can drill to the panel like you saw there. Another way I can drill down, we created a little shortcut, which a lot of customers really like. So I can say, instead of going to the panel, let's kick those results off to a worksheet. So now what it will do is it'll create a tab within my workbook here and kick all those details out here in Excel. We hear quite a bit from our customers who you know, they say, well, they get calls asking what's going on with this account or that account. Well, they say now with an instant, they can come in here, they can drill into a balance, burst that detail into Excel, and then they can send it off to whoever needs it. For those folks who are doing any variance analysis, we give you the ability to, on an ad hoc basis at any time, come in here, drill down. So I want to see the difference here. I can drill into these two balances, and it's going to automatically give me a variance column here, which then I can sort to decide where I want to focus. So we give you a lot of ways to really focus on the important part of this, which is analyzing and investigating the data. So we're going to pull some data into Excel, but I want to stop for a minute and see if there's any questions.
We do have one question, and that is, does your tool have predefined reports and data links to Lawson RQ, IC, and PO modules, essentially supply chain?
Yeah, so we can reach anywhere within Lawson. So we can connect to any module within Lawson. You can create queries using our query designer, which is very similar to an Access query designer. So, and you can also leverage any select statements you have today with that and any in that capacity. So you can access any module and be able to pull in data from that system into Excel.
All right, I got a couple more. Does the tool enforce Lawson security, or is it direct access to a SQL database?
Great question. So with Lawson, what we'll do is we will mimic the security that's in Lawson today. So it's not reading directly from Lawson, that security, but for each user, you can mimic that security at a segment level.
Okay, we've got an influx of some questions.
Okay.
So let me know if you want to do all of them now or later. But here's one more.
Okay.
Is the data dynamic at the time of the drill down? For example, is the call to the database made when the drill down request is initially made?
That's another great question. So as soon as I open up Excel, my balances will update, right? So, but it doesn't go back and forth the whole time I have my workbook open. So what I can do, so exactly what you said. So when I drill down into that, that's its own call back into Lawson, but it's just it's just going after a subset of data. So it's not going after everything, right? But yeah, that is real time in that drill down. So I could drill down and I could see, you know, balances that were just put in there. And I can even at any point in time, let's say I had this drill down open for, you know, 15, 20 minutes, and I even know that there's been journals that entered since then. I've got a little refresh button here, which I love, and is actually very new. And now it will refresh the drill down data from this panel as well.
Sorry, I was on mute. Is it still possible to use Spreadsheet Server with cloud?
Are you referring to the Office 365, or are you referring to
Lawson Cloud? So some people are moving from a station system to the Lawson Cloud.
Okay. So what we would do there is we would actually connect to the database where the data is held. So that could be a VPN into that database, depending on where the data is, right? So if the database is held somewhere, you can VPN into that database, and the connection would be through there. But that's something that we can explore and talk about, kind of that setup after the call on a one-on-one basis, if you want.
Okay, and just one last question, then I'll let you continue on.
Sure.
If you wanted to capture the information that you have right now, is it something where you're just doing a save as function, or how would you typically save your data from one pull?
Yeah, great question. So yeah, that's right. This is Excel. I mean, we're truly in Excel here. So you could do a save as, absolutely, right? This is just Excel. Or what I could do is use my distribution manager, which we're going to see at the end. And I'll show you a way some customers are doing kind of where they're getting kind of that snapshot in time if you want to, right? So I can show you one way to do it would be absolutely save as. The other way is use distribution manager and have it kind of do that automatically for you. All right?
Thanks, Anna. I'll let you continue.
All right, good questions. Those are all great questions. So we're going to pull some data in so you can really see its ease of use. I think the best way is really, building a report, because that, that really helps you see, gosh, this is easy, and I'm just using Excel. I'm going to open this up so you can see when we pull this in, we're just going to be using our formula. It'll be pre-configured to your general ledger. And if you notice here, this is just referencing cells. That brings us back our answer, which is that 5 million. But I'm going to open up a blank sheet here so that you get a feel for what it's like starting from scratch. Now, I bet most of you have reports in Excel today that the format is the way you want it and all of that, and you're thinking, gosh, do I have to recreate all these reports? Well, no, absolutely not. We show you how to put your formulas behind the balances, so then you could bring those reports to life, right? So it helps streamline that process of getting up and going with Spreadsheet Server, because I'm able to just convert what I have, but some cases that people find that creating new reports is just as easy as well. So I'm going to come over here, pull up my build a template, and then I'm going to pull in, you can see over here I've got formulas to the left. So these formulas here, they do different things. So they have different jobs. So we'll have one that will bring in a balance from the GL. This one will burst out detail from the GL. These formulas here allow us to bring in data from outside of the general ledger, either in a balance or detail or a lookup or inquiry here. So there's a lot of ways to do this. So I'll show you an example of bringing in some GL data, and then show you some examples of the other formulas and how they can work for you as far as seeing your data laid out differently. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to pull in my actuals. I'm going to pull in data from 2005. Okay. And then I'm going to look at monthly data. I could do quarter, year-to-date, life-to-date, even a range of months. So I've got my life-to-date from all my balance sheet data, period, quarter. I can break this up. And if I want to see something outside of the confines of that, I can then just use a range of months. So say I wanted to look at February to July or something, I could do that. So let's just do monthly data, and we'll say period 4. And then down here, I've got company, accounting unit, account, sub-account, and chart name. So this is the chart of accounts that's of the system instance that I'm connected to, but yours might be a little different, which is fine. So we would verify all that as well. Over here to the right, you can see these little ellipse buttons here. So these will do a lookup, and they will show you the values and descriptions for each one of your segments. So I'm going to come in here and bring in all accounts, let's say starting with, let's just say starting with 4. And I'm going to put everything on the column except for my accounts and sub-accounts. And then I just hit insert. So you can see it immediately brings me back a balance. I'll make this a little bigger here so you guys can see that. There we go. I can drill immediately into that balance so I can see, right? Yep, there's all those accounts starting with 4. So I can do ranges, exclusions, a lot of different ways, which we show you in training, but now we're just copying and pasting down. Now we can change this to all accounts starting with 5, 6, right, or whatever. And I can break up my accounts based on that line item there. If any of you guys are using summary accounts or accounting groups or, accounting unit groups, we can absolutely leverage those as well. So instead of, if this is all revenues here, on my revenues, instead of putting 4 asterisk, I can put in that summary group here, and it'll reference those accounts for revenues. So you can leverage what you have in Lawson today. I can also create a segment list. So this is a part of Spreadsheet Server. This gives you the ability to create lists of any of your segments. So if I had a group of accounting units that made up a certain region or something, right, I could create that list, save it here, and then anytime I wanted that region, all I have to do is open this up, find the list that I want, insert it into the cell I need it to. But in this example, I've got other expenses. So if I want to pull in other expenses, right, you can see here I've got a grouping of accounts. I've got a range with an exclusion here. So if I didn't want to, have to, write that in every time, as a user, I can open up segment list, insert that here, it'll reference those accounts. But what's great here is these lists can be locked up, controlled and maintained in one place. So if you had, 5 or 6 different reports with this other expenses as a line item, I don't have to update all 5 or 6 reports every time there's an account that's added that maybe isn't sequential. I only have to add it in one place, and then every report that has that as a line item will automatically update. So it's a way to add a lot of consistency and continuity between the reports based on the account. As you can see here, I'm just doing some basic formatting here. I can come in here now and let's, just sum these numbers, right? I don't have to be technical. Now I can come here and copy and paste over. Now I can change this to period 4, 5, and 6. So now I've broken out period 4, 5, and 6. Now I want to see the quarter as a whole. Now I want to do some comparisons and compare that to the first quarter. I can insert rows or columns. It's not going to mess anything up. To throw a variance in here, right? Now I'm feeding all this with live data. For those of you that have budget data in Lawson, right? I could come in here and throw a year-to-date, period 6. I don't have budget data, but I would just simply change A to B, and my budget would update there. So you can see building out reports really gives someone who isn't technical the ability to create the report they want in the way they want to see it. And what's great here too is, as your reporting needs are growing and changing, this can do the same with you. So this report, I've got 3 months worth of data here, but if I want to see 6, all I'm going to have to do now is copy this, insert copy cells, and now I'm just changing this to 1, 2, and 3. So if you get a request for something, you don't have to go and have someone technical put that report together. Now, this gives the user the ability to be able to pull that in. And then, of course, you can leverage all of Excel, charts and graphs, and all that, dress things up. Now, a favorite feature here is something that's called Expand GL Row. So let's say these were all my revenues. So I have maybe a summary report that has all my revenues listed here, and I want to be able to see those revenues broken out. So I don't have to drill into each balance. All I have to do here is come up to my Spreadsheet Server ribbon, hit Expand GL Row, and it's going to kick out all those accounts for me. It's going to group them by account, give me the description, and the balance right within my report. While this is updating, have any questions come in?
Not yet. You must be on a roll.
All right. So you can see here, we've got all of our accounts laid out within that range of accounts there. It gives me my descriptions. And I can drill now into any of these balances to see the details behind it, and then keep going and drilling as far as I need to go. So then I can collapse this here. So, I can expand and collapse this however I need to. So this makes things like trial balances and reports like this very simple to create. So pulling reports together, again, I don't have to be technical, easy to build reports here. I can come up here and group this up so it looks clean and nice the way I like it. Now I just have to open up this report every time I want to see the data. So whether you're going after balance sheet data like I have here, or AP vendor data, for example, I'm just using our formulas. So you can see at the top, here's one of our other types of formulas where I'm bringing in a vendor query. I can come in here, let's say I want to change that vendor here so I can see the amount paid and the total invoice count. And then I can run that history, which essentially just kicks off this other formula, which will burst all of those details out within this table for me. And within a day or two of training, this is something that any person can do. So I can get to any of my data, slice and dice up all of my information. Here's an example where I've actually got data coming from 4 completely different places. So I have revenue coming from SAP, projects coming from Oracle, AR coming from Northwind, and HR coming from PeopleSoft. So I can have data from multiple places in one report. I can build analytics off of that. If I have a customer, a Lawson customer up in the Northeast, and they have, they have some patient data that sits in an Access database, and so they were able to combine all their GL and financials and do some analytics, looking at, inpatient, outpatient, bed turn times, things like that, and so be able to see all that analytics all within Excel, and all of those balances are drillable. So, gives them that instant access to the results without having to run a bunch of reports, have them aggregate up. Now they're just opening up Excel and automating those reports. So you can build dashboards and things like that all within Excel and fuel them with live data, and the data can come from multiple modules and multiple places and seen all within Excel. Any questions at this point?
Nope, still no questions yet. Just a reminder, there's a questions module on the right side of your screen, so if anything comes up, feel free to put it in there and we'll ask as we go.
So let's take a look at Distribution Manager. So for those of you that are sending reports out today and maybe you're emailing or saving to file locations or for whatever reason, we give you Distribution Manager, which will automate how you can send those reports out. So if I wanted to send this P&L out, and let's say I had 10 different companies within my organization, and I want to send this P&L out with just each individual company's numbers in them. Right? I know if I'm in here, obviously, I can slice and dice these up to see it in front of me, but I actually want to send these out. So instead of having 10 different tabs down here, I'm going to use distribution list and create a distribution report here to send, so I can send that out. So all this did was input a new tab within my workbook. I can choose how I want to send it via email, save to a file location, even kick off to the printer. I can decide how I want to send it via Excel, HTML, PDF. Right, so let's send it as an Excel file. Over here is where this is just going to read my Outlook address book. So if Bjorn was in charge of one of my companies, I'm going to find Bjorn here. And then put some text here for the email that he would receive. I can also add password protection. So if I'm sending this email and I want to ensure that only Bjorn can open it or modify it or unprotect the sheet, I can put a password here and give him that password. This also is handy if instead of going to email, I'm sending to a file location. So if I'm sending all 10 files to that file location, I can put a password on it so each person can only pick up theirs. So now here's where the modification is. So I'm going to send the P&L. Let's scoot this over here. And we're going to say, well, on the P&L, I wanted to modify cell N10 for company 1. If I had other modifications, I'd just simply choose the worksheet and tell it where I wanted the cell and the value to put that information in. Now, I don't want to send all of my worksheets, so I'm just simply choosing the worksheets I want to send. Down here is where I look and say, well, is Bjorn a user of Spreadsheet Server or not? There's different types of users, ranging from a more super user down to, your gold user, which is your, accounting, finance, operations. I can use that build a template, things like that. Or basically everything you've seen me do today. Down to a more consumer of the report, which is a limited user, which they might have the connection and they can drill down and change parameters, but they can't build reports. But if I have any type of license, I would say no conversion, because it's going to keep that formula in there, which is going to give the live connection. But if they're not a user, they just need to see their data, that's fine too. I can say convert global formulas to values or all formulas. If I'm sending it to a non-user and I'm just sending balances, I can also set it up where I'm sending detail with it. So if they need some detail behind some of those line items, no problem. We can use one of our other, we set up the report to send some detail of some of those line items out to other tabs and just include those tabs along the way. So then I just hit push. It kicks it out here. I'm going to pull this back up here. Now I can copy this, paste it down. Now I'm just changing who it's going to and the different companies here. Right? All right, so I can keep changing who it's going to, the company here. I can even say, well, I am a user of Spreadsheet Server, so I'm going to say no conversion. I can change the email, the body of the email, anything like that. Maybe I want to do a snapshot in time, like we talked about earlier in the call. So if I want to send a snapshot in time of Bjorn's company, I would say, let's go ahead and save a PDF version or an Excel version that just is that converting global formulas to values, either one, and maybe kick that off to a file location, so I can put that file path right there. If any of you are using SharePoint, I can assign an email to a SharePoint folder and have it instantly go there as well. So lots of ways to be able to use this to, save time, increase efficiencies, and really just, what we hear the most is just being able to get home a little earlier, especially during close time. But just giving you that instant access to the data in Excel to analyze that. Did we get any questions on distribution?
We had a couple questions that just came in. One of them is whether Spreadsheet Server has the ability to perform uploads.
No, it does not write back. It's a read-only. It's read-only from Lawson.
Okay, and one more. Do you mind just repeating the information you gave about how Lawson Security works with Spreadsheet Server, please?
Absolutely. So with Spreadsheet Server, there's two pieces to Spreadsheet Server. So up here we have the add-in. The other piece is the configurator. So the configurator lives in a shared folder environment. I'm going to pull and open this up. This holds all of my licenses, right? And so this is going to hold all of my licenses, all of my connections. So you can see here how many places I'm connected to right now, and you can see setting up a new connection, right? Pretty straightforward there. You can see here for my security. So each user is a named user. So if I open this up, I can come over here and I can limit by connection. If I had multiple connections, I can limit for each user what connection they have. I can also, and then come in here for my Lawson. You would see your ledger right there. This will pop up. And you would put in, for that user, what companies, accounting units, accounts, and sub-accounts they have access to. So if they had access to only company, 1 to 5, and I put in company 10, the numbers would blank out on me. And I'd be happy to go through this in more detail, with someone if they'd like to set up a call to do that. More than happy to do that.
Thanks. One more question, and this is outside of the security question. Is it possible that if you could just show an example of how this would be used within an HR department?
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
Or at least explain.
Yeah, no problem. So with Spreadsheet Server, again, we can connect to anywhere, right? We can connect to anywhere within Lawson, right? So if we take a look over here, I've got some HCM examples here. So this is something a customer had put together. They use kind of during open enrollment, which is going down now for us, I know, but where they can use Distribution Manager, where it'll change out the employee number. Right, set up a distribution list that has all the email and the employee number. It would change this out, update all this data here by user, and it could either be sent out in, kind of like a Word document or in an email for those purposes. But that's one way. But just maybe like here's a salary report where I want to come in here and put in if I pick put in an employee number here, and I can generate those details, right? And it's going to give me the details for that employee, right? So a lot of different ways to use for HR. I mean, it's really looking at the HR reports you have today, and then just converting that report or building on a new one, or what you want to do, adding to it. If the data's in Lawson, we can build a report around it.
Do you have out-of-the-box reporting? Or is it all something that you must create?
Yeah, good question. So out of the box with Spreadsheet Server, we have pre-configured formulas to the general ledger, right? That we use to copy and paste. We can use to copy and paste around and build out a report. We can even convert report using the shift worksheet data, which will allow us to put our balances behind put our formulas behind any balance. And then we have some queries that we deliver with that more power user to different places within Lawson. But we don't deliver templates because we find that everyone's a little different. And when I go on site and train, I know what I find is, people have their reports and and again, everyone's different. So we just convert the ones that they have or build out the ones that they have or want to have and want to be able to see and do it within Lawson.
Thanks for explaining that. One more question about licensing, actually.
Sure.
Is the Spreadsheet Server licensed by site or by number of named users?
Number of named users. It's a named user license. Yep.
Okay,
and we're definitely happy to do a deeper dive into the licensing. If you'd like a follow-up presentation, there's a Platinum license, a Gold license, and then a limited use license. Platinum is sort of your power user that has access the query designer. We didn't really get into that in full depth, but that's maybe 1 out of every 10 users or so would have that power user license, and then most of the other users are going to be gold licenses, which is all the end user friendly stuff that you've seen here today. And then we have a limited use license, which is literally that. It's just for somebody who is receiving a report but needs more than a static report. They need to be able to drill down or change a parameter. And then I wanted to go back to the question we had about templates and things like that. Keep in mind too that we do, when new clients sign up with this, we do about anywhere from 1 to 5 days of training, and clients have the option of having us, do more report building and assistance too. So we can certainly chat with you about that.
There is one question. Can report distribution be scheduled?
Great question, Anna.
Yeah, no, it's a great, yes. It's really nice. Yes, it can. So I can schedule that distribution to be sent out anytime, right? So if I want to send it out, have it set up to go, every other Friday at 5 a.m. or something, I can do that. We do recommend that sit on a computer that's on all the time, but yeah, you can definitely schedule any distribution so that it will go out when you need it to.
Thank you. I think we're good for questions for the moment.
All right.
Okay. Wonderful. And I think you had in the PowerPoint there was the contact information for the folks at RPI. For those of you on the call today who have questions or would like to see a further demo, certainly let us know. Reach out to questions@rpic.com or your RPI account rep, and they can put you in touch with us and give you a follow-up demonstration where we talk about distribution, profile scheduler, the query designer. There's a lot we didn't get into on today's intro demo, but I do want to make sure everybody on the call understands just how easy the solution is to get up and running. On the general ledger side, we're talking about anywhere from half-day WebEx to 2 days on site. So in that range is really all you need to get up and running on the general ledger side. And then the query designer, we train those power users for another couple days. But our goal is just to give you live data in Excel and automate all the manual processes you go through today.
All right. Thank you. Very informative. I appreciate Bjorn and Anna, both of you, for answering all the questions. We had a lot of them. And if you have more questions, like I said, questions@rpic.com, feel free to forward them. We already have a couple of questions we'll probably follow up with, and we're happy to do so with any more that might pop in your head. But we want to thank you for spending some of your afternoon with us. We'll be sending the recording out soon, so keep your eyes out for that in the future, and have a wonderful afternoon.